Okay, so the Surgeon General is out with a serious warning for parents and grandparents. He issued a public advisory saying social media is a major driving force in the teen mental health crisis. Take a look.
We see rates of depression and anxiety and suicide and loneliness going up among young people. And I'm concerned that social media is an important driver of that youth mental health crisis. This is the defining public health issue of our time, youth mental health.
So how big of a problem is this? Well, 95% of teens use social media. Nearly 2/3 of teenagers report using social media every day. 1/3 report using social media almost constantly. And on average, teens spend 3.5 hours a day on these apps. So how does that time on social media actually affect teens? Teenagers who use social media for 3 hours a day face double the risk of experiencing mental health issues, including depression and anxiety. So here's our question. What are parents or grandparents, caretakers, supposed to do to keep kids safe and healthy? You have 3 kids. A lot of them are in the teen years. What did you do?
2 of the 3, yes.
Yeah, what did you do to instill like safety social media habits? Are you still thinking about that?
No, I mean, we didn't have time to think. It just was, and we saw it coming. We had conversations, and we were realistic, not idealistic about how we were going to approach this. The idea of saying, hey, you're a 16-year-old girl in 2023, no social media for you. It's like, okay. I think telling kids they can't do something is you're pushing them towards it. The approach that we took, and I think that it's worked as far as we know, you can never completely know, is to just instill in her the confidence that when she is exposed to certain things, whether it's social media, whether it's face-to-face bullying, whether it's advertising for something that's not good for her or advertising for something that is good, being able to discern what is good, what is positive, and what is being what is in front of me right now. And I think a lot of times when you look at social media, we talk about depression and anxiety. I think we could alleviate a lot of this as the older generation by getting to the root of what that is. We try and stop smoking, but people smoke because they have depression and anxiety. People do drugs because they have depression and anxiety. And these kids that are having their schools shot up all the time and are having fentanyl and all these things introduced to their world, they have the same thing. So let's figure out the root cause of maybe why these kids are retreating to social media rather than reaching out to adults or people in their social network.
You have such an open line of communication with your kids.
Yes.
I mean, that really does make a big
I talk
difference.
to them like my friends. Mm-hmm. I really do.
You respect them.
I stop that. I try to be that son, you know, and it just they go away, Erica. You have to be, you know, I was talking to Elijah for an hour and a half on Sunday about all the guys at El Segundo High School. I know who's dating who. I told y'all, I get y'all the tea. But when you talk to them like that, they're more open to talk to you about real things rather than school's fine, teachers are fine.
But you have to use terms like the goss.
The goss.
Right.
Yes.
You sound real hip and
I got all
cool.
the
Jeff,
El
as a
Segundo hot
parent
goss.
of 2 little ones,
Right.
right? So you're maybe 10 years out or whatever that may be. What are your thoughts? Are you going to let them use social?
I mean, I think it's inevitable. You used a great example because they're going to be on there,
it's like
right?
TV.
And you just have to teach them right from wrong. That's what I'm trying to instill in them now. You know, it sounds classic and cliche, but hey, it doesn't make you feel good when someone makes fun of you, right? Don't make fun of other people. Don't be nice to everybody. Lawson brings home these little bus tickets for like helping kids. It makes me cry, and I love it. You know what I mean? Because it's something that, yeah, I know. Listen, he's a little jerk sometimes too. But I mean, so what we're saying is working, right? He's a good kid, and so is my other kid. He's just younger. He's 4. But this, to me, is something personal, right? Because I went through this. Since we started this show, I said there's a problem with social media because I went through it personally. 99% of 16-year-old women, listen, I think it's 99% of the country has a problem with social media because it doesn't make them feel good. And people who don't feel good lash out to other people, and misery loves company. If people don't know, I was on a show, Big Brother, 14 years ago now, but I went through my little 15 minutes of fame. I got my big head, and I wasn't just in my little bubble of friends, right? It was the whole nation watched it. Then all of a sudden that started changing. I started getting people's hate messages, and you did this wrong, you did that. I'm like, you don't know me, and it made me feel bad. I had depression. I usually don't struggle with things like that, but I did, and I still do, and I'm 44 years old. I learned now not to look at those messages, but there's things I think social media can do, owners of the companies, to prevent certain things, right? It's a slippery slope when you're talking about freedom of speech, because I'm on that side. But China, and I'm not going to get into the whole thing with, did I say that a little choppy?
Yeah, you
I
did.
said a little
China.
choppy? I watch too many Instagram videos. But China has this thing where they regulate it to a certain amount of hours. So if I could take my son's phone in the future and say, you get 2 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, and then also alter his algorithm.
Yep.
to positive things. That's what they do in China. They alter the algorithm, so it's all positivity. It's all about schooling, math. So if he's suffering,
technology,
right. If he's suffering in one of those things, I could up his algorithm in math. I could up his, if he's feeling depressed,
really cool.
up it in positivity. So you're not censoring what you're seeing. You're just curating. So this way, it's still the freedom of speech, but you're altering as a parent, just like I do on his little Amazon tablet. That's exactly what I do there. This way, you're not letting control as a social media company. You're just altering it.
I think you and Jordan are going to be, it's going to be an interesting thing to see because you guys have had so much success on social media in terms of like numbers and stuff like that, that you talking to your kids is going to sound a lot different than most people speaking to their kids because you've already seen both sides of it. So there's more of an expertise in it. Although I know no child thinks that their parent is
I was going to say.
Jeff, this could be a really good platform for you because this is something that you strongly believe in. Here in Colorado, kids, their #1 cause of death, aside from firearms, is death by firearm by suicide. And depression is sky high. And they really do link it to many factors, but mostly social media and the obsession and the addiction of it all. Tori, you've always kind of taken the other side, saying this is a slippery slope. I'm on Jeff's side here, but please speak that side.
I've always been against regulating social media due to the fact that I respect children and they have constitutional rights, including the First Amendment, and should be allowed to be on there as long as they want. Recently, we have just seen the entire state of Montana ban TikTok. So talk about regulation. A state is actually taking that kind of
Take your time.
No, they're not. They're preventative. That's what I was trying to say. They're trying to prevent things from happening. At this point, seeing the amount of suicide and also being a 41-year-old that gets real envious about my own social media. I can't imagine what a 13-year-old, 15-year-old is going through when I'm like, oh man, she's got more followers. Oh, look, she looks thinner than me. Oh, look, she looks happier than me.
Comments.
Over and over and over. The comments.
Jeff and I had a healthy debate yesterday, and we posted it on our social media, and I got a lot of negative feedback. That's okay. That's what our show's about. It's the insults.
Yeah, it's the hatred.
And you know, teenagers, they get a lot of insults. Enough on the playground. Can you imagine what they're seeing on social media?
Yeah.
So, if, to your point, Jeff, 42-year-old Sam, I was in a bad mood all evening because I felt so crappy from some of the insults out there. I can't imagine what
That's what they want, though, because they're not happy with themselves, so they project it onto you.
But I don't want that on my kids.
Absolutely.
We got to do something.
I am for regulation, just very careful with a scalpel, not a baseball bat.
Okay, all right.